Hello and welcome, Oh God, he's hiding. We can't see him. We can't see him. Hello and welcome everybody to episode 169. I didn't write it in the title.
That's fine. You've got it as live cast time. It's good. It's live cast time. It's live cast time.
It's
Come on,
live cast
everybody. It's
time.
live cast
Episode
time.
169.
Nice.
This is our third or fourth for Spooktober. I don't remember.
Oh, I think this is probably fourth and last.
Let's see the calendar.
Technically.
Do we fit? Yeah, we don't fit another one in. It's the first next
Yeah,
Monday.
it is indeed.
So it's our last
Oh, who are
Spooktober
you?
podcast. Why would you ask me such hard questions?
Well, it says it
Why?
below you, for God's sake. You know what it actually says? I'm
Oh.
not the who you've got else.
I did forget to change something. So, we'll we'll introduce me first, and then I'll just let D talk for a while I fix his name. So it's Terry and Ryan, who I will let.
Hi, it's Ryan.
I'll actually let you do what you've played first this week, and then I will fix your name while you're doing that. How about that? Actually, can I fix it? Is the question.
You should be able to. You can just set the same scene up in studio mode, change what you need to, and just retransition, and it'll do it fine.
Yeah, I'll try it. I might actually change it. We'll see. But yeah, go ahead.
Terrible difficulties. So oh god, there's been a few things I'm going to play. There's one that we've both played, and I'm not going to talk about that until it's Terry's turn to talk about what's been played. But I've played two games. One interesting, one very very fun. I've streamed one of them as well. You could probably guess which the very very fun one is if you've been keeping an eye out on our streams at this wonderful website if you're watching the live cast today. If not, and you're listening to it at our twitch.tv/Immaterial Gamers channel, or even on YouTube. The link that I cannot pronounce, it's got a lot of letters in it. But yeah, first game is a game called Dungeon Encounters. Terry, you like D&D, don't you? I mean, you're running a campaign. You're in a campaign at
I've
the
had some
moment.
bad experiences in it, but yes, I like D&D.
You've had experiences. You've also had encounters, correct?
Yes, lots of encounters.
Yeah. So, do you look at all these like RPG games like Final Fantasy and Mass Effect, and particularly actually the JRPGs? So maybe your Tales of games and Atelier games, and just think, God damn it, there's just too much story. I just want fighting. I don't need world building. I just need,
I think about that all the time because
yeah.
I never pay attention to stories in games.
Well, do I have a game that you've got a Switch, haven't you? So do I have a game for you? In fact, you've got Steam as well.
I've got multiple Switches and Steam.
Yeah. So it's a Square Enix game called Dungeon Encounters, and it's about as stripped back of an RPG as you can get. You could probably have a look at some images while sort of explaining this.
What's it
You
called?
can just sort of Google that. Dungeon Encounters. So it is by the developer who eludes me, whose name eludes me, but he was responsible for Final Fantasy 12. People calling the most interesting Final Fantasy in a long time. 10 I considered interesting by the fact it's the first time they actually just went static turn based rather than active time battle.
Okay.
But he did what they called the Gambit System, which basically allowed if you could set they were basically like if else statements that you could set to the party to do certain attacks and heal up at certain points, to the point where if you weren't enough of these gambits, you could technically farm AFK in an area, just let the monsters spawn because there were no random encounters, they were always on the map. So you could
Okay.
just wander your party in, and then because of the Gambit system, you could turn them on and they just all fight and loot, and then you come back with a giant game over screen like I did.
Sounds
I didn't
alright.
set the Gambits up correctly. Uh,
Yeah, you
uh,
lost. It wasn't a good game over. It
but
was a bad game over.
no, it was a bad game over. But yeah, Dungeon Encounters is like very stripped back. It's an isometric sort of like top-down experience. The only bit of 3D modeling is the leader of your party. Everything else is if you're playing on like a tabletop.
Yeah, I'm looking at
RPG.
some images
Just
of
like,
it. I'm scared to go
yeah,
onto any links because I have not muted Chrome.
yeah, we don't need adverts to appear in our advertisements. Um, so yeah, so it's basically you just wander your character around these maps, villages, or the 99 layers of this dungeon. Um, and yeah, it's just all you. They're all tile based, and you just wander around the map. And there are events and encounters that are always coded, and you use like hex code. So 01, also 00 through to 0F, and then 10 to 1F, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
Every code corresponds to an event, and similar. Also, there are fights that also correspond to codes. So the idea is that you've got these logs that basically tell you, you
you've
know,
done this fight, you've
um,
done this one.
yeah, this fight. If you fight, I'll go for the very first example. 00 are ghosts.
Okay.
So every time you find a 00 and go into combat with it, you know you're going to be facing ghosts. Similarly, if you see a white number that says 01, you know that that's the next floor of the dungeon.
That's kind of neat.
So you sort of use this in sort of the memory, and you go through into fights, which then play a little bit like Final Fantasy. Everyone's got an active time bar based on the character's speed, and then when it fills up, you get to do an attack, and you can do physical attacks, magic attacks, or HP attacks. And everyone in the game has
HP attacks? Like healing kind
eh,
of thing?
no, just attacking HP directly. Because this is
Oh.
the other sort of interesting thing about it. Every character and every monster in the game has physical defense, magical defense, and HP. You lose physical defense by taking hits by physical. You lose magic defense by taking magic damage. It's sort of that simple. Um,
And then
and
once
the
you're
idea
out
early,
of physical or magic defense, then you start to take HP from those attacks?
yeah,
Okay, so HP is
that's
almost like
exactly,
true damage of sorts.
yeah, in the sense. So the idea is that if you want to sort of, if you've got physical attacking characters, you have to take the physical defense out before you can take the HP out. And monsters have their own physical defense and magical defense. Some have no magic defense at all, for example. So you can then know that you're safe to hit them with magic attacks, and you're guaranteed to take the HP out in it straight away. Some do change that, like the gargoyle has. You'd think it'd have a ton of physical defense, being it's a motherfucking gargoyle.
It's a stone creature, yeah. You'd think it'd be
Yeah,
physically strong.
no, they're clever in this game. It has no physical defense, but it's flying, and the initial physical items that you get in the game are swords and clubs and maces.
So you can't hit it
So you
with.
can't hit it with physical. Um, and so it's like that. That's sort of the case. So the idea is that the aim of it is that you're meant to be sort of strategizing the encounters because you know what you're going to be facing, so you know what you need to set your characters up with in order to do those encounters.
Yeah, because they don't move around, they're just in sets locations.
Yeah, so in set locations, and like one of the first things that you do is you find a skill that when you turn it on, you can see where they are on the map. So you know that's sort of how that works because you find skills
So
that
at
help you through
first
the
they're
dungeons as you go
yeah,
along.
at first you can't even see them on the map. You're just running
Hmm.
around and then all of a sudden boom, there's a an encounter for
There's an
no reason.
encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't know what that encounter is because you didn't see the code. It just says battle
Yeah.
start, and it's just like when you do get the skill to see where they are, it says battle 00 start, so you know sort of what you're facing.
Yeah.
And so I've gone a few levels down into it, and it's sort of interesting. It
How
does
much
try
does it
and force you to
cost?
go back up, and um, it cost me 20 Great British pounds because it was on 20% off
So it's a pretty expensive game.
on sale. Yeah, I mean compared to, though that being said, it is
Compared
a
to brand
full
new
game.
releases, it's not too bad.
Yeah, and it's not like this is like a full game. This is basically being released at what we would now sort of call now indie price. That's sort of up to 20
Yeah, yeah.
level. and so it's not a AAA game, even though it's published by a big publisher in the form of Squeenix. So
Yeah, but it doesn't
that's where it is. But
necessarily.
yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be an expensive game.
no, no, not at all. And like I say, I'm sort of enjoying it. It's one of those that you can sort of just pick up and drop off every now and again, as long as you remember what you're doing. Like I say, there are logs in the game that as you figure out what each thing does, it stores it.
So you
So
don't
you're
have to
never
have
going to
like a
be,
cheat sheet.
yeah, yeah. So you're never going to need to like load the game up and go, what the fuck does 05 mean?
Yeah, well, that was my worry. I was like, well, if it's gonna be a whole bunch, like hex is, there's a pretty decent number of options in hex.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it does go from 00 to 9F.
yeah, and
So,
it can go to 99 and then beyond. So there's over 100. Like I can't remember how many. Is hex like 256 or something?
hex. In this way, the hexadecimal system, um, what is it? It's base 16. So it's like, yeah, maybe even a little, maybe more. Because yeah, 0 to 09, and then it goes 0A to 0F,
Yeah, I'm trying to
and then
remember
it'll
if
be
it's. I think
1,
it's
0.
256. Like
But yeah, it's
I
quite
can't
quite a lot of.
remember.
Mm,
Um,
it's tough.
yeah, I can't remember. Like I used to know. I'm pretty sure it's 256. So basically,
Mm,
instead of having like a numeric limit of, well, binary has 0 and 1.
hmm
So it has two, technically, two different states.
Yeah,
Then you have uh, our normal number, uh,
which is
our normal
decimal.
number, yeah. So then you could go up to 9, well, 10 total differences, up to 9.
Hmm
So 0 to 9, which is 10 differences. And then
Yeah,
hex is the next one from that.
yeah. So it's 0 to 9, and then A to F,
Yeah.
and then you sort of you go forward through that. And to take that into account that it
Okay,
goes
hold
from
on.
00 to 9F for both encounters and events. So
Hex can
it's
actually
a lot.
go beyond 2 digits as well.
Yeah, but in this game it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah, so that's probably why.
Mhm.
Yeah, convert decimal. Never mind. I'm just trying to see if I can figure it out.
Thrill as
But
Terry tries to figure out.
yeah, I was just trying to.
We've got to be saying it's like 16 times 9.
I don't even know if it works that way or not. It'd
Well,
be
that's
6.
that's I mean that's how it works in the game. Like I say, 0 to 0F, then it goes 10 to 1F, 20 to 2F,
Oh, okay, so it
all
never
the
has
way
F
down.
in the front.
No, no, it doesn't get that far. It just
Okay.
goes to 9F, and then
Actually, I don't know if
that's
hex can have
that's
a
that.
letter in the front. I think it always has to have a number in the front. But
Mm,
either way, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
Um,
but yeah, that's how it goes. So that's the interesting game. So now I move to the really fun game. So on Thursday, like I explained this when I streamed it as well. Thursday morning, I'm getting my tram into work, and I just see a couple of wrestling Twitter accounts that I follow hyping up this like runner gunner platform game called Spectacular Sparky.
oh,
I was like, oh, that looks
I've seen you play that.
yeah. I was like, that looks pretty cool. Let's have a look at the hype video for it. And my god, I went back in time to like 1993 when I was sat there with my Mega Drive and sort of playing Sonic games, and then sort of like Turrican and stuff like that. I was like, yes, please, I want this now. Give me now. I realized then at that point I couldn't buy it on Steam on my phone because I needed to confirm it on my iPad, and I had my iPad at home. So
Oh,
yeah, so that's where I then made the Twitter post that just said, Yeah, sorry, not playing Tales of Arise on Thursday on my Thursday evening stream. When I get home, we're playing Spectacular Sparky. And the game is made by Freak Zone Games, an indie studio, particularly run by a Sam Beddoes, who made the Angry Video Game Nerd shoot 'em up games based on the YouTube channel Angry Video Game Nerd, or the YouTube show. Terry's looking confused, for the benefit of those listening to audio.
No, I'm
Angry
just turning
Video
around
Game
in my
Nerd is
chair.
a Yeah, Angry Video Game Nerd is kind of in the title. He's a video game nerd who's angry because all he plays is shit games. So that's sort of kind of how it works.
He
Generally,
doesn't
it
get
was
to
he
play
was
any
the
good games.
angry. Sometimes he does play good games. Like he played. He talked about how games were always shit, but he ended up playing Earthbound, the
I like that game.
big Nintendo app. So everyone, people like Earthbound. I'm gonna say now, I've never played Earthbound. I feel I should. You're looking at me like, why have you never played Earthbound?
Actually, I'm not sure if I have played Earthbound. We gotta double check it. Sounds very familiar though.
An RPG, guy called Ness, psychic abilities,
Um,
weird cult.
no, I have not
That's
played
not the
that.
one, is it? Okay, don't
No.
worry. Well, in that case, we can both look at the same time and go, um,
Oh,
yeah.
I found out how many different encounters there are. But you said some of the encounters are actually traveling to the next floor,
No, there are events and are battles.
and they're all
So
represented by those
all
all the way up
represented
to
by a hex
9F.
code. Yeah.
So there's 159 different codes.
So yeah, you're never going to remember all that
No. That's why I was like,
normally.
I was thinking about it, like, I was like, if the game isn't going to remember that, that means you're going to have to, like, look up or make your own cheat sheet,
Mm.
which chances are you're just going to
Well,
look one up, and then you're going to know all the
well,
encounters before you even
yeah,
get into the game.
yeah. Well, I'll say now. I'll bring it back up on this. I'll get back to Spectacular Sparky and why it's a fucking great game, and I'm deciding it's my game of 2021 already. I say already, it's October. We're near the end of the year now, anyway.
Yeah, we've done a pretty good year.
Um, but yeah, there was a game called Fatal Labyrinth, I think it was called. It was a Mega Drive game or Genesis game, depending on where in the world you were. And that one you did need to write down every playthrough because the way it worked, it was a dungeon crawler, and you would find stuff in there, but it would be like red potion or blue scroll, and unless you used it for the first time, you wouldn't know what it does.
Wow. So
So
and
you could drink red potion, and
it
it could kill you.
randomizes every playthrough.
Yes.
Wow, that'd be annoying.
So a red potion in one playthrough would be different to a red potion in another playthrough. So you had to sort of write it down as you went along as well, because once you learnt what it didn't tell you still. It would still say red potion. You just know in that playthrough red potion would heal you. For example, you'd know pretty quickly if red potion killed you because you get a game over screen before you went, oh, what the hell does that do?
So yeah, that'd be kind of annoying.
Yeah, so at least Dungeon Encounters has improved on that idea by giving you the log straight off. But anyway, yeah, crazy psychopathic bunny with star ears and a gun. I mean, what more do you need to know? Okay, I'll tell you more. The idea is that
Bunny.
you're oh my god, you're an intergalactic bounty hunter. Your friend slash
Intergalactic
mission
planetary.
director is a shark pig or pig shark or whatever.
Do I want to know?
He's called Shiggy
Shiggy.
or Shigs or
Shiggs.
Shigtastic or Shiggies, oh
Well, isn't
mate.
that shigtastic?
Yeah. But the idea is that you're a bounty hunter. You're going through space. You're taking down the biggest scum of the intergalactic universe. And you were also absolutely insane. And you do that by going through various zones. Most of it is sort of running and gunning and platforming from the beginning of the zone to the end, and it always ends with a boss fight.
I was pew-pewing
where
at you.
each
I got
yeah,
dark.
each each boss has its own special attacks that it does that you have to remember and figure out and kill, and then you do 4 levels, you beat 4 bosses, and then you move on to the next zone. Each zone is broken up by a small shoot 'em up segment. So if you're not just running and gunning, you're then playing R-Type for a brief moment, and a bunch of guns that you can get, from triple fire to a flamethrower to a rocket launcher to a laser. And oh god, it really has gone dark in your house now. It's just, oh, there we are.
It all depends on what's
Um,
on my screen. I had to
yeah,
just go to a blank Google search.
wow. But yeah, you run gun, you can dash, you have a little stamina bar, you can multi jump because you've got flying ears. But you run out of stamina, so you can't just keep doing it all the time. You have a health bar that if you run out of health, you start from the next checkpoint. But you can get armor, which reduces the damage you take, or you can get like a special star, which like boosts your health for a certain point. And the final boss is absolutely a grotesque nightmare. That's why it started off being just a normal, fun shoot 'em up experience, and then it ended up into body horror. So it's officially a Spooktober game.
You're a Spooktober game.
Well, I've determined at least, particularly the last boss, is a Spooktober game. Just how it is.
Just saying.
Um, but it's full of nice little pop culture references and then stuff related to the time. We remember this is sort of an idea. This is, I mean, it was advertised as a mega-driven treasure of adventure. Therefore, basically, stating it's a Mega Drive-like game and it's inspired by the Treasure company's shoot 'em up games. Um, Particularly, I had a weird feeling it felt very Dynamite heady. You don't
Dynamite
know what
Heady?
Dynamite heady is, do you?
No.
So Heady was a platforming game by Treasure, in which you were a puppet called Heady who had to save his puppet world from an evil, dark-handed um, villain. But the way that you do that is that you would equip various forms of heads, which would do different things depending on what you did. So you could have a hammer head, so you deal like a little bit more damage when you flung your head towards enemies.
Okay.
You had a head that could like shoot bullets. There were some punishment heads, like there was a big head. So if you accidentally equipped a big head, your head would just fall to the floor and you'd walk slower until it expired. But
Ryan, I think you're a big head.
I do have a big head.
That's why I said
I
it.
mean, look at me. I'm big all over.
I
Um,
wasn't gonna go that far, but
well, no, because I can.
exactly. Hey Ryan,
Yeah. Hello.
nighttime. Daytime.
Nighttime. No, it's not nighttime yet, Terry. You can't go yet. You've still got to talk about what we played and slash you played. But yeah, I'm just gonna say it's on Steam, it's on Epic, it's on Switch. And I don't usually give endorsements out to games. Specifically, and I don't give a fucking what are you doing? Go and fucking buy it already endorsement. But Spectacular Sparky is getting my
Go buy it. So,
first ever fucking go out. What are you doing listening to this? Go fucking buy it award. You can put that on some box text somewhere if you really want. But yeah. So I'm after the podcast, I'm probably going to play the frenzy mode, which is like the same. There's basically is the main game and the time attack mode. But if you complete the game, you get a different mode where you've got unlimited stamina and heat, which your weapons can overheat. Um, but you don't get that in this game because your health just drains down instead. So you play the same game but in a different style. And I think I'll do that after the podcast.
have
Thank you very
fun.
much. Right, Terry, go. No, don't go. What's been
Nighttime.
what have we also been playing? The
All
fact
right. I'll start with
we've
what
had 2 streams over the past 2 days.
I'll start with what I've played before I get into what we've played. Um,
Fair enough.
so this week I've played more Minecraft. Nothing special. We're doing a sort of hard mode of sorts. We're playing a super flat world. Me and
Mhm.
Stefan, Danny joins a little bit. And the reason it's hard mode is because there's literally just a layer of grass blocks and then 2 layer of dirt blocks. and then bedrock. There's nothing below it. So we can't get stone. Stone's very difficult to get.
Okay.
We had to make a cobblestone generator to get stone. And
Just as you do.
yeah. So basically I had to give us a start chest with a few things like lava and a few things that we can't get, and we basically have to rely on random traders that'll come through
Mhm.
to get certain blocks like sand. We can't get sand at all unless we get the wandering trader. And it all came from an idea off a YouTube video I watched. But he was
Mm.
playing on Bedrock Edition, and I guess on Bedrock Edition, slimes don't spawn.
Oh.
But on Java Edition, the rule for slime spawning is it has to spawn in a slime chunk. So a chunk's randomly designated a slime chunk. Every 1 in 8 chunks or something like that. And a chunk is a 16 by 16 block of the map.
Yeah, no, I'm very versed in the idea of a chunk now, considering there's a um, loading ready run. One of the players, or one of the members of there, James, he does streams called Punch a Chunk streams. So
Okay.
his the whole idea is he just spends the stream mining down a chunk, usually following some sort of like rules, like in regards to what he's allowed to craft and use while
Okay.
sort of punching the chunk.
Yeah.
So
So,
there's an
anyways,
like that. But yeah, go on.
slimes.
Sorry, I'm distracted.
That's fine. Slimes can only spawn in their slime chunks, which are random chunks generated by the server, and
Hmm.
it's usually 1 in every 8 chunks.
Right.
Usually, it's totally random, but they have about 1 in 8, I believe, is their spawn chance. Like 1 in 8 is the chance of it being a slime chunk. Um, so, but they also have to be below. I want to say level 64, but I think it's lower than that. I think it's like 30 something.
Hmm.
Well, we're on layer 3. They don't have any
Oof.
light restrictions, so they can spawn in any light level, unlike hostile mobs, like have to spawn in darkness.
Yeah.
So, as soon as the world generated, all of a sudden, there was just slimes everywhere. And slimes are hostile. They can also do a pretty decent amount of damage. And then the large ones do a lot of damage. Like, we're on hard difficulty, so I think it was doing like 4 out of our 10 hearts each hit.
Oh.
And their hitbox is really broken. Their hitboxes are huge. So even if you kill it the first time, he then breaks into 4 smaller ones, which can do 2 to 3 hearts. Right, I think about 2 hearts of damage.
Right.
So now you have 4 things that can hurt you, but you also forgot about all the slime chunks that are all the way around you, and anything that's in visible distance will start to target you. But at least once you break them down to their smallest form, they can't hurt you anymore. You've got orange.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just trying to sort out white balance, and it
You went
didn't
orange.
work.
You got liver disease or something over there?
Well, I don't know. Hold on.
Oh dear. Well, we've lost Ryan. But yeah, so it started out very difficult and it was very frustrating. We literally had to dig under the ground, like down 2 layers so that we were underneath the dirt level so that none of the mobs could get to us, but we couldn't do anything down there because there was literally bedrock below us. So it's not even
Hmm.
like we could dig out a big enough cavern to plant a tree. We had no way of getting any
That's
wood um, because we couldn't plant a tree. So all we did was plant a tree on the surface and hid underground until it grew. That's literally all we could do. We had no tools, so all we could do was punch dirt for the first while. We've now gotten
yeah.
quite a
Cool.
bit further. We have a village, and we have village breeders and all kinds of stuff. And we've now dug out a giant, most of the dirt nearby us, so nothing can spawn, because nothing can spawn on the bedrock layer.
Hmm.
So we've limited what can spawn inside our area by producing light and blocking any of the chunks that slimes would spawn in. So they don't spawn inside because they can spawn in any light level. So we had to put down carpets every other space, basically, to stop slimes from spawning inside our base. They can still spawn if they're the smallest size, but
Yeah.
like I said, those ones don't hurt us, and they're so unlikely to spawn that it doesn't matter. But
Fair dues.
we're safe now, for the most part.
Oh, good.
So yeah, that was our Minecraft. I've also played Rimworld. I enjoy that game. And yeah, basically I've talked about it a few times, but for those of you who don't know what Rimworld is it's a 2D role-playing game of sorts, 2D survival role-playing game, um, where you have to survive. You have a group of, you can start with as little as one person. You can
One
start with
maple?
one people, just one people. Um, or you can make your own custom starts. There's 3 default start scenarios. One of them you start with one person, one of them you start with 3 people, one of them you start with 5 people, I think. And
Yeah.
they each have their own difficulty. I learned very early on that it's not good to start with one person. Because the game also has what's called random encounters. And basically, the storyteller just makes random things happen every so often. Things like cargo pod could crash into the planet and give you free loot, or a nearby faction may attack your town or your map. Basically, you're on a small piece of a map.
Yeah.
Usually, what ends up happening is you get raided. That's the most common one. Sometimes animals on the map will just go rabid and attack you. They call it manhunter. Well, if you only have one person and you get incapacitated, you will then bleed out.
Oh, yeah, because there's no one else to come and rescue your ass.
Exactly. You'll fall over on the ground and you will die. And it's very frustrating to try to survive with one person. I have learned a little bit now that you cannot. The biggest problem I had before is I didn't realize that you could turn single survivors onto a mode called self-tend, TEND,
Mm-hmm.
so they can actually heal themselves. As long as they're not incapacitated, they could heal themselves. So if they're bleeding, they can bandage themselves or whatever. That's a
Right.
special feature you have to put on underneath that person. And by default, they have all the people that you have that turned off. They're not supposed to self-tend. I don't know why, but they're not
Yeah, you'd
supposed to.
think that was something that they should do.
Yeah, if they can, if they're set to, one of their jobs is set to doctor, they should be able to self-tend. But for some reason,
Yeah.
that's default off. Before, it didn't even have that option. They could not tend to themselves, which was a very big break in the game, because literally you could get attacked by a rat. One rat. And if it bit you in a position, you would literally bleed to death.
Oh.
It may take you weeks to bleed to death, but you would bleed to death slowly.
Sorry. Restart game, please.
Restart? You broke it? Oh, yeah.
No. No.
Yeah. I thought you were. Yeah. Basically, you got attacked by one rat. Please restart your game. So yeah, I've gotten into that. I've added a couple mods to it because it's a pretty heavily modded game. Lots of modders out there for it. And basically all I added was the ability to craft bots to do some of the simple tasks like cleaning. As you walk over tiles, it'll naturally get dirty.
Yeah.
So cleaning takes up a lot of your. It's a very low priority job. So you basically have to have no jobs queued for your people to start cleaning.
Right.
And the way the game is built is you almost always have to have them doing something. They don't ever really have time to do nothing. So cleaning and hauling is the other one. Never seem to get done. Like they're so low priority that you would have to physically grab your click on your people and right click, tell them to clean. But when you tell them to
Mm.
clean, they only clean one space, one square. And in this, they're similar to a Minecraft size where they're 1 by 2. They actually are about the size of 2 squares. It's a 2D thing, so they're actually really only the size of 1 square, but they stand. It's a 2D sort of 3D drawn, so they can.
Mm.
If they're up against a wall, they stand. It looks like they're standing on the wall, like they're standing, like they can stand beside the wall, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, nonetheless, a lot of issues if you don't have self healing. If you only want to spot one person. Moving on to what we've played.
Yes, here we go.
It
It's the other
finally
thing that appeared in the
released.
social media preview.
Yeah, it finally released. I think it released last week. I got to play it a little bit before I
Uh,
left because it
yeah.
released on the 21st, and we've been waiting for many, many years for something like this to come out.
Oh yes, we have.
A lot of us aren't really into first-person shooters. There's been a few that have caught some of our attention.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh, we got
Borderlands
Darius
is
in the
one.
chat, and he's just gone.
Oh,
He's gone zombies.
basically yes, not quite zombies, but zombies.
Uh,
But yeah, most of the people in our group aren't huge on first-person shooters,
mm-hmm.
even third-person shooters. Like the closest ones that have grabbed our attention that I could say is Grand Theft Auto caught a lot of our attentions.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Like I say, Borderlands was another.
Borderlands was another one. It was hit and miss because I don't even did most of us even get Borderlands 3.
Some of us got it, and we ended up single playering it.
Yeah,
Never really joined as a
I
group,
never ended up
which.
getting it. I kept saying I wanted to, but I never ended up getting it.
Mm,
Darius didn't. Um,
yeah.
but I have all of the Borderlands before that up to 2.5, which was
Yeah.
weird that they did 2.5.
Borderlands, the pre-sequel, was it?
Yeah,
They called it.
but
Weird.
yeah. Other than that, maybe Rainbow Six Siege stuff like that. But that was
Mm.
kind of an RPG
Again,
style.
yeah, and again, a lot of that with Siege, not many people played. I know Darius and Stefan did end up playing a lot of like the PvP that it was mostly there for. I
Yeah,
sort of ended up just being interested in terrorist hunt, and there's not enough there was not enough PvE
yeah,
because it wasn't the focus. So I understood that, and that's why I dropped off it.
yeah.
I mean, there's Rainbow Six Quarantine, which
I have no idea what that is. I never got into
so
any of the Rainbow Six
yeah.
games.
So during last Halloween or the Halloween before for Rainbow Six Siege, they did a Left 4 Dead style mode. Um, I've forgotten what it wasn't called Quarantine. It was something like the Outbreak. I think it was like Rainbow Six Outbreak.
Okay.
The slight problem with it is that it was Left 4 Dead style, constant zombies heading towards you, but it used the damage mechanics that you would have in Rainbow Six. So it was zombies with realistic damage. It could go problematic fast.
Yeah, unless you had like really good stuff where you were doing ridiculous amounts of damage.
Yeah. But yeah, so Rainbow Six Quarantine is effectively a full game of that, and it was due out this year, but COVID, plus Ubisoft's current legal issues and need to apparently make the same game over and over and over again, and
Yeah,
their pivot to mobile games because that's where the real money comes from the few who just don't know what value is.
yeah.
But
But
yeah, we were on to talking about the other game, the other co-op shooter
which
that
we
we
haven't
played
actually announced
initially.
the name yet. It came out on the
Well,
21st.
yeah. Well, I mean, you were about to say Left 4 Dead, weren't you, as being one of the other
Yeah,
first-person
that
shooters
was
that
one
we
of the
actually
ones
enjoyed.
that got us all together playing. Really,
Mm-hmm.
that was, I think, one of the real first cooperative games that we played, besides like the games that actually made us meet as a group.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of other games we
So,
just played because of those games
mm-hmm.
together. We sort of played together, but there wasn't a lot of really cooperative games that we played besides like World of Warcraft, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Back for Blood came out
Yeah, boy,
last
it did.
week, and we didn't get to play it as much as we wanted to, because
No.
well, part of it was because we wanted to stream it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So it's like we kind of just did the first time we actually played was just a tech setup to see how well
yeah,
crossplay worked.
and then you guys played a bit yesterday.
Yeah, on Sunday as part of Spooktober, and you played some this morning slash afternoon.
Yeah, we sort of continued from where you guys left off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because it was pretty much the same place that we had left off.
Yeah.
So me and Stefan played a little bit this morning with one random person. Well, up to two
Mm-hmm.
random people at some point, but mostly just the one random person. And we finished the first act out of how many? Four?
Borat.
Yeah, it's usually four, I think, with Left 4 Dead. They,
Yeah.
they usually
Which
stick.
is interesting of how they've done it as well, because it's not so Left 4 Dead initially had it had 4 levels, 3 or 4 levels, didn't it, inside a campaign.
Yeah,
So the campaigns initially weren't connected to each other. They were just there was the go into the hospital and escape scenario, or go into the
yeah,
village
they
and
all had
escape scenario.
four separate stories, basically.
Hmm. And it was three levels, and then what they call a finale, where it was just where you'd like either have to survive long enough for
For
an escape
rescue,
vehicle to
or
arrive, or then in Left 4 Dead 2, there was like active objectives, like you had to fill up a Humvee that was in the middle of a shopping mall by just heading up and down the building and picking up trash
it
cans
wasn't
while
a
there was this
Humvee in the middle of a
infinite
shopping
horde
mall. It was
of
like a Jeep or something. It was like a car of
yeah,
some sort.
it was some sort of vehicle. No, it was a hot rod, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It had this stupid sort of paintwork on it. Um, but yeah, so it was all this under the pressure of a horde, which would keep spawning. Something that in the other levels was just a random event as dictated by an AI director. What I've noticed in this, and I'm sure you probably noticed it as well, Terry, is that the levels are a lot more that they're a lot less meatier to give you
yeah,
more levels.
yeah.
There's
They
generally
they are a
like
little shorter. They're not even that much shorter.
mm,
Um, but me and Danny before we actually did stream it. Was it me and Danny that streamed, or me and?
it was you and Stefan that streamed, wasn't
Oh yeah, no, we didn't actually stream what I did
it?
with
You
Danny.
played.
Yeah, me and Danny did play a little bit yesterday. Before I went to bed,
Hmm.
and I tried the swarm mode,
Ah, yeah.
which
This like
actually brought something to my attention that I wanted to bring up to you. So we'll use this
okay.
time to do that. So you know how there's like the tall boy, the stinger, and the
The exploder.
yeah. Did you ever notice that they're slightly different
There's
each time?
variants.
There's
Yeah,
variants of them.
yeah.
I
There's
did
for
not.
example, a variant of the tall boy is the bruiser. So the tall boy would run towards you, hiding its weak spot, which is its giant arm,
Yeah.
and then just boom, whack you over the head. With that, the bruiser chases up to you, bigs its giant shielded arm, and will just keep raging and smacking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The exploder has the wretch, and there's another one as well, isn't there?
Each
I
one
think you
has
talked about an
three
armored bruiser as
variants.
well. It was like an armored exploder.
Yeah, each one has three variants.
Mm,
And some of them are they're pretty mean. Like the
yeah,
the spitter can jump and climb and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And
is
we
that
only
not
learned
so?
about it. We only learned about
So
it because we played. Well, I only learned about it because I played the swarm mode, and you could actually choose between the three variants of each one.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, there's like a little bit. I think each of them have like an armored version. I think each of them have. I think the armored version usually makes them slower.
Mm.
Then I think they have the bruiser, which I think is actually faster or something like that. Um,
Uh,
and then whatever the other
so
one you said was,
so that sort of explains to me then. So the Stinger, and then by I'm guessing the Stalker is a variant of the Stinger,
I believe so.
and
Yes.
then there's like the jockey one. They don't call it. What do they call that one? Because the Stalker just pins you to the ground.
Yeah, there was. Um,
There's one that basically acts like the jockey in Left 4 Dead, who basically stands on you and messes around with you trying to
yeah.
move.
Oh, I can't remember what it is called now. But yeah, basically, those are all three different stingers. So the attack of the stinger is actually a ranged attack.
Hmm.
He can spit from a distance and then and jump. That's by
Yeah.
default his moves. One of them, when he jumps, he can tie you down. One of them, when he jumps, he
Right.
attaches to your back. And I think
Got
the
it.
other one, he can actually jump and climb onto a wall. Like he can attach himself to a wall.
Mm.
So he's sort of harder to get to. You have to shoot him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong about that. But yeah, basically they all have three variants by the looks of it. I have a feeling they're sort of the same sort of three, whereas one, well, maybe for the other two, the Exploder and the Tall Boy, I think it's sort of like a fast mode, a standard mode, and an armored mode.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
That
I don't know enough
that
about it
sort of
yet.
yeah, that does make it a bit interesting, especially due to the fact of how they've done the story in this one as well. Like we mentioned, they do they have the act structure, but there's they're split into different bits. So there's like 3 or 4 finales in Act One.
Yeah, there's.
So there's like the tutorial one where you get to Fort Hope, which is just your standard run from A to B, and then there is a little bit of an objective. One of them is a holdout. You're basically doing a distraction to let them go. There's other finales that basically all sort of mess around with the objective structure to provide something different. Also different on that is that the fact that the game is technically a roguelike.
Yeah, it's a
I
lot
say
more
technically
roguelike.
it is. Let's be honest, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
this sort of randomized structure of cards. So just to for those who are sort of unsure on it, every playthrough you get to build well you can build a deck, and that deck has 50 up to 15 cards in it,
and
and they provide
you get random ones each round, random of those cards
Mhm.
each round. I
Yeah,
think you get
you
like your
draw
deck
one.
is 15 cards, but you get to draw. You can say you only have. You can keep drawing the same cards each round.
Mm.
No matter
Yeah,
what, you're never
I
gonna
think
have.
I read the card tutorial. And it does say that the cards are drawn. The 15 cards are drawn in order. So you draw cards 1 to 5.
Oh, okay.
You choose which one you want, and then on the
Oh,
next level, it'll replace the card you drew with card 6, and then it'll keep
that's good
doing it
to
that
know
way.
because that definitely changes the way you want to build your deck. Because I thought it was just
Hmm.
totally random from the deck. Because I kept
No,
getting the same cards over and over and over again.
hmm
So I figured maybe
it's
it's random throughout the deck and you can stack the same card multiple times.
yeah. I sort of initially did that, and then I checked back on the video for the card system. And he does make a point of the order that you build the cards is the order that the cards will come out when you're doing stuff. So basically, the idea that they want you to do is to build the cards in such a way, or build the deck in such a way that you can sort of deviate in terms of your style. Um, so if you know you're going to be taking a bit of damage from, or like if you know you're going to be taking damage in the early levels, you front load it with your health
Health or healing
items,
or.
and then
Yeah.
because they generally come down into what is it 4 different
5.
types, which is 5. So it's like
Yeah, there's
Offense, which is like
economy.
ammo and stuff like that.
There's also economy. So
Yeah.
there's offense, defense, movement, um, resistant. No, no, I don't remember what they are, but I'm pretty sure there was 5.
But like they're into sets, aren't they? Because I think when you go
Oh,
through the
support.
tutorial,
Yeah,
because you don't have a
yeah. They have offense, defense, um, support. Then there's economy, and there's one other.
mm,
Pretty sure I remember seeing 5. It tells you at the bottom right when you're in your match or when you're in your card selection, and it tells you how you're favoring each one.
yeah.
It actually
Because
tells
I
you
think there's like
how many cards you have of each one.
because there is on an idea that once your deck runs out, you then just get given standard versions of those cards. So your offense one will just like give you, here you go, here's more ammo.
Yeah, I think that's what's been happening with me is like we don't have a lot of cards yet,
Hmm.
so we easily go through all of our cards because it starts you with 5 cards always.
Yeah.
Like at the very first act, you get your first 5 cards, and those are put in. Then you get your next 5 cards as an option. You get to pick
Hmm.
one of those as an option. So your first 5 cards are automatically equipped to your character.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
And then
it's
there's that. I like that idea.
I like that, and
It
also
takes a bit of getting used to, but
it also makes the game a little bit more entertaining because every playthrough, the map is different. Well, not the map, but the challenge on the map is different.
mm, yeah,
Um,
the idea on this is that they've made the AI director like an opposing force, as opposed to an algorithm in the background monitoring your stress levels and sending stuff out. It actively tries to fuck you over with corruption cards.
yeah, and
Yeah.
basically every time I've played, even the same maps, those corruption cards were different.
Mm,
Every time it was different, and they
yeah.
add different challenges. Some of them are like a time trial, get through it so fast, or sometimes it's boomers will be armored, or
Mm.
something like that.
Was that the one where they're just like the common zombies
Run,
were more durable and would run?
yeah. Make sure you hit them in the head. Basically, is what it says.
Yeah.
Um, but what I'm wondering is if we play on the harder difficulties, do they get more corruption cards as well?
Mm,
The good thing is they don't add like as we go through the act, we get one more card each round.
yeah.
Luckily, the corruption cards don't work the same way because that would get
No,
pretty intense.
they're sort of just there for
They have
that
a set
level.
amount per. I'm assuming probably per difficulty. I bet you on the harder difficulties, either the cards are more powerful or they have more cards.
That would make
We
sense
haven't
because
tried on a harder difficulty
we'll
yet,
say it.
but
We've tipped our dough in. We've tipped our dough.
yeah, we tipped our
We've
dough.
dipped
Tipped our dough.
we've dipped our toe into the water by playing recruit mode. There's veteran mode and nightmare mode.
Yeah.
I think are the other two difficulties,
I'm
which also have
scared.
friendly fire and
I'm scared to play those because while I was watching myself play, every time the game has one major flaw, and that's that
hmm
people get covered in guts and blood, and so you turn around and a quick glance, your or your friends are covered in blood. You just assume they're a zombie and you fire at them.
yes. Funnily enough, people have been saying that on the Back for Blood Reddit. It's like, are you scared of friendly fire? How many times have you shot your mates because they were covered in blood?
Yeah.
So you're not alone.
I was doing that so much today. I'm like, I'm so glad there's no friendly fire in the difficulty I'm playing on
Yeah,
because
which
I've learned that I'm actually a pretty good shot.
I did actually watch you while I was on my break at work, and you are a beast with a rifle.
I love the rifle. It gets pretty overwhelming when you're getting swarmed. I have to
Mm,
rely on a lot of people to protect me.
yeah,
But
but that
when
being
I
said,
see those,
mutated monsters,
yeah,
you
when I see
just
those large mutations, like even when they're pretty far away, I can, as long as I'm not getting too carried away and firing too fast, because there's a lot of kickback in these guns.
yeah.
Um, but I've got it worked out pretty good. Even when I'm not using the scope, I can just like sometimes I whip around and bang right in the head kind of thing. Um, but half the time when I spin around and bang right in the head, it's a friend. So that's what I'm worried about. That's the last thing I want is bang right in
That's
the head
fair.
when there's 55% friend. Like I think Nightmare's 55% friendly fire, so it's still
Yeah,
reduced, but it's
it's like it's still, oh, still bad.
we had enough trouble dealing with just the easy difficulty with 4 people. Like it's
With
actually
just the
pretty
mods.
difficult. Yeah, it's pretty difficult, and that's without friendly fire. So, but we should get onto
Oh,
the news because
yeah, let's do
it's been a
this.
pretty
We're an
long.
hour in, aren't we? So,
Yeah.
um, I think unfortunately I'm gonna have to say this. We're gonna, because we try and keep these around an hour anyway. It's going to be speed run
Well, I think the
news.
news is less important, anyways. I think people want to hear what we play because it's a little bit more exciting.
Yeah,
If they want the news,
that's
they could
true.
probably find their own news. So,
Yeah, that's fair. Well, we'll do to this. Terry, do you know what feature it is?
what?
Are you ready
Oh,
for it?
it's my favorite one. It's
Da da
what the
da da.
fuck, Blizzard?
Yes, it is. So here we go. Here's the first one. I've got the link in source kotaku.com. Do you remember back in the day there was Overwatch and there was the cowboy character called McCree? No
McCree, yeah,
longer called McCree
yeah, he had to
because the
get renamed.
developer, yeah, the developer was part of the whole Cosby Suite kerfuffle. I say kerfuffle, it's a fucking lot more than that. Let's be honest. It's a stupid harassment. It's an harassment lawsuit that's well deserved because they're leches. Simple
Yeah.
as. We'll get to that as well because there's some breaking news that happened about an hour and a half ago as well. So we'll get
Wait,
into
it
that.
it happened before our podcast for once?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow,
Yeah.
not the day
Before.
after?
Yeah, I know, right? They've been slacking. I think actually we've not been doing what the fuck Blizzard for a bit, so they just got a bit complacent.
Yeah, they
But
need to
yeah.
get back into
So
the news.
yeah. So McCree, as of the 26th of October, so tomorrow, as we're doing this podcast, will now be called Cole Cassidy.
That's kind of a boring name.
Yeah, I mean the idea that the excuse that they went for a lot of the characters' names in Overwatch is their code names. So
Okay.
because they're like supposed to be like worldwide secret agents. I mean, I don't know how secret agent you can be as a giant gorilla
Ooh, ooh,
with
ah, ah.
with the IQ of various Nobel Prize winning scientists.
Oh, come on. We've never found King Kong, but we know he's lit. He
Oh,
exists.
we also know he's lit. Um, but yeah, so as it stands, the reason they needed to rename Cole as opposed to just kill the character off, was the fact that he was basically the front-facing character of the next narrative arc of Overwatch, which is probably going to lead into Overwatch 2. You know that game that that Blizzard promises still exists, even though there's been fuck all
Yeah.
news about it forever. So yeah, so there you go. Starting from tomorrow evening, he's Cole Cassidy. The idea being that as part of the beginning of this narrative arc, he is apparently telling the truth to the other members of Overwatch by telling him his real name.
Oh.
I think that's how it is. He's discarding the McGee
I
name
think it's
or
his
McCree name
real
for,
name.
yeah. It's still a code name. It's still Cole Cassidy. But yeah, so that's what's happening in Overwatch. And then the other bit of oh god, I just have to copy this one because I'm still putting them into the sources as we go.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
still
just
do
going to
that
write
too.
source. I'm just going to put the link in. Um, yeah, here we go. So a couple of weeks back, again this sort of came up as breaking news, and I sort of word saladed over the issue in regards to two lawsuits that were happening with Activision Blizzard at the same time. The main one that we've been discussing for months now, which was the Department of Fair Employment and Housing one, and then there was the one about the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which was in settlement stages, but
Oh,
the fair wanted to block that because it was probably going to get in the way of their lawsuit.
yeah.
Activision Blizzard found out, and Yok turned out that there were members of the fair working as lawyers for that lawsuit at the same time as the current one. So there were ethical issues, and Activision looked at this and thought, Oh, perfect. Perfect. We can wriggle out of this lawsuit by just saying there's a conflict of interest,
Yeah.
and we can just get away, and everyone will just go not guilty, and then we can carry on with our shitty business practices.
Or
Uh,
maybe clean it up, but get away with
yeah,
it
yeah,
nonetheless.
yeah. Basically, not today, not today.
The judge
As what
rejected
was
it.
yeah, what was reported. Yeah, judges basically denied the stay of proceedings. That's Timothy Patrick Dillon. I nearly for a second called him Timothy Dalton, which would have been, let's be honest, would have been 100% more fun. Of having Timothy Dalton just coming up and just going, no. But yeah, so uh, it's not happening. No reason for the denial has been given as of yet, but this is according to Eurogamer. And like we say, it's only like 1.5 hours to 2 hours old, so there will probably be a reason behind that the um, in the legal documents that are publicly viewable. That's what I love about the American legal system.
Yeah.
When stuff is fully filled out, you can just look at the documents. That's copyright lawyer and big YouTube lawyer Leonard French that taught me that by watching his videos. That yeah, pretty much every bit of documentation, if you know where to look,
Yeah.
is public
But
domain.
the sad part is most of us can't understand what it says anyways.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. I mean, I tried
That's sort of
reading
why
through
they
the
do it.
original legal. Yeah, I still remember the original legal filings that defer had put through,
The
and
only the only good thing about it is sometimes it helps because other lawyers will look into cases that they think they can make money off of.
yes,
And it can help you, like, say some of those really expensive big name lawyers that can get people out of anything. They will look into
hmm
it and be like, they'll call you up and say, hey, look, I can get you out of this. Pay me $100,000 and I'll get you out of this lawsuit.
yeah,
They won't say how they'll get you out of it. You just have to go on their reputation.
hmm
And if they're calling you saying that, I can pretty much guarantee that they have a way to get you out of there because they're not going to put their reputation on the line for nothing. They
no,
usually
that's
only
true.
take on cases that they're going to win. Some of them.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lawyer in the UK that was nicknamed Mister Loophole. Celebrities who got a lot of parking and speeding violations, stuff like that, used the services of this guy because you'd find out a lot of the times that while yes, my client was speeding 80 miles on a 70 zone, there'll be some loophole like the officer who stopped
They infringed
the
on his
driver
civil
had
rights, or
yeah, or didn't dot the i's and cross the t's where he should have done,
yeah, he didn't
and
fill
so
out the
therefore
paperwork
the
properly, or
yeah, yeah, therefore it's invalid, and my client does not have to pay or get the points on the license. Like, no, they were clearly speeding, but you didn't do it properly.
he didn't
So
deny it. He's not
sorry.
denying that. He's just
Yeah.
denying that he was not treated properly, or such and such. Like they'll have their loophole. That's huge here too. Like even criminals for much worse things will try to get out of, say, murder cases
Yeah.
via
If a technicality occurs, the whole case in which it was built upon crumbles.
yeah,
So it's like you got to
because
be
the
like
judge has to exempt
110%.
that information.
Yeah. So
So
that's what Blizzard tried doing, and sorry,
this judge said no.
strike and a miss. It's a swing and a miss. So
Obviously, you don't watch much baseball.
yeah, I
Strike and a
don't.
miss.
It's not our national sport.
It's not mine either.
So, yeah, true. Right, UK centric news. Very, very quickly. I am a fucking nerd. You should know this by now. I'm 34 years of age, and for a part time hobby that is potentially rolling money in at some point, I we can talk about games for a secondary living. Terry does the same. And we
Wait, do
stream
I?
because, yes, well, you're here, you're hosting the podcast when I'm not hosting it, which is more often than not these days, as our Twitch coordinator. Um, so yeah, so we had a TV show back in the 90s called Games Master. It was like a teenage to young adult target audience. Very 90s. People would come out and try and do challenges on the hot video game consoles of the time. So that's right, that's Sega Saturn and the Nintendo 64.
Woo!
Where if you succeeded in these challenges, you would win a golden joystick. To the point now that Games Master as a publication ceased to exist last year. But the concept of the Golden Joystick Awards still exists now, rather than people doing challenges to earn them. It was done for you know games that excelled.
Yeah.
Um, so the idea was hosted by a guy called Dominic Diamond, and then someone else later down the line. And the titular games master was the famous astronomer Sir Patrick
Astronomer?
Moore. Yes, a guy
Weird.
who, at the time that he was in this, was in his 70s, I think. At this point, doesn't fucking play a single video game, but he was given the character of games master who would provide news or gaming news and 5 to 10-year-old children hints on how to unlock like new players in Tekken or stuff like that. He'd provide
Yeah.
hints and tips. So the idea was to sort of get someone who was very well known, who has been around for a long time, but is generally nowhere near involved in the games industry to do that. I say that they've done that ones of times.
Ones of
Now,
times.
unfortunately, so they're doing a reboot of Games Master, 3 60-minute specials on Channel 4 in the UK, or E4 is sort of the alternate, sort of the entertainment version of
Yeah.
Channel 4. So they're doing 3 60-minute episodes, and it's presented by a new team of hosts. But they have announced their new games master, the
Oh?
veteran TV journalist and broadcaster Sir Trevor McDonald.
Who I also don't know.
You in the UK, he's massive. He presented
Okay.
the news at 10. Before we had rolling news, you'd have your news journalists and your
Yeah.
broadcasters, your anchors, and Trevor McDonald was a big one. He's a big investigative
Why don't they get someone who
journalist as
actually
well.
plays games, though, is my question.
That's not the yeah, but for the character of the games master, that's not the point.
I guess.
He's an actor. He's a
Yeah.
character in that. So I actually heard it on like a talk radio station this morning. So we've got a radio station called LBC, which is a current affairs talk phone-in station. And the presenter at the time, James O'Brien was his name. He was just like, I want you to don't look, don't cheat, but just like they've just announced who the new games master will be. Have a guess. And people were texting in and going, "Oh, is it Brian Blessed?" Because when you always want someone, you want Flash Gordon actor himself, Brian Blessed, and I to be honest was initially thinking Michael Gambon as well. As I mean, he's played Dumbledore. I think he'd easily play Games Master. But no, this came out, and so I was happy with that. So yeah, like I said, it was very UK centric, but we're based in the UK and Canada, so that's just how that's going to work. And very very finally,
Happy
which big pair of tits?
birthday!
Yeah, yeah. Which big pair of tits is celebrating her 25th anniversary today?
Tomb Raider!
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The concept of Tomb Raider, I guess. I
It's.
shouldn't be saying that anymore. I mean, it's Lara Croft, and I'm
Was
gonna be
she
honest.
actually at that back then, though? I
I
don't think she was the one that did Tomb Raider back then. I think she got
Well,
it
the character of
after that.
Lara Croft was Tomb Raider.
Yeah,
Lara
but
Croft's
I
Tomb Raider
think
was.
she became Tomb Raider after they made a movie on it. But I don't think the game was made before the movie, was it?
Oh yeah, yeah. Game.
Was it?
Well, yeah. It's 25 years old. It was one of the launch titles for the PlayStation,
Yeah, no, but
and
was it
a
actually based off Lara Croft?
polygonal triangular cleavage.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
Tomb
I
Raider
couldn't
and,
remember.
and Lara Croft as the character was there from the beginning. It was rebooted recently with Tomb Raider, Legend of the Tomb Raider, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider,
Yeah.
which I do enjoy as
I
games, and I
couldn't
enjoy the
remember if.
recharacterization of Lara Croft as well.
Yeah, I couldn't
Um,
remember if she was in the originals though. That was my thing. Is I couldn't remember if she was like I thought it was just a character originally, and then they Laura Croft was cast in a movie of it, and it became her character, basically.
No,
That's what I
no.
thought.
So, and Angelina Jolie initially played Lara Croft in Tomb Raider, and then more recently, Alicia Vikander. I think
Oh
her
wait,
name
I'm
was
for some yeah,
played.
I'm mixing up Laura Croft and Angelina Jolie. That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking. I was like, it's not
yeah,
Angelina Jolie. It is Laura Croft. Like that is the
yeah,
character's name.
yeah,
That's where my brain
yeah.
went. I don't even
Well,
know
there
why I
we go.
did that. So
That's
I
fine.
was sort of
Like
right.
I say,
I was like, I didn't think Angelina Jolie was what it was based off of, but
yeah,
yeah, I'm an idiot.
like I say, I like the modern day characterization of Lara Croft and sort of the rebooted idea of this sort of woman in over her head initially, and was not the absolutely bloodthirsty murderous psychopath archaeologist
Yeah.
that the original Tomb Raider games were. And not a lot of that's credited to initially to Rihanna Pratchett, which is you've heard of Discworld, haven't you? The
Yes.
novels, Terry Pratchett,
Yes.
his daughter.
Okay.
So that's where that come down to. But yeah, she's 25 years old today. Well, the
Wow.
games are 25 years old
I was about
today.
to say
I mean, at that point, Lara Croft would probably be about like 50, 56 or something like that.
probably
But
at least
yeah,
50.
yeah. So yeah, sweet. Hopefully, many more years, and also some more decent Lara Crofts. I'm going to be honest. I didn't like the original Tomb Raiders. I'm
I
sorry,
didn't
I
play
didn't.
the original games. I like the movies, but
Yeah, I've
they
not
were
played.
interesting to watch.
I've not watched Tomb Raider, the most recent one. I've not watched that one yet.
Neither have I.
Um, Lara Croft Tomb Raider was fun. Lara Croft Cradle of Life was a bit. Meh.
I haven't watched most of the movies actually. I think I watched a few of them back when they
Mm.
were like the shit to watch.
Yeah,
But
yeah. When you could get U2 to do the soundtrack,
yeah,
and then them doing the weird music video, which was scenes from the films where they just superimposed the Edge in
yeah,
as if he was in the film. But yeah, that was fun. Right, that's the news I scrounged
yeah.
today. So
Thank you all for
yeah,
watching. Don't forget to give us a like, a follow, maybe throw some bits our way. Tell us what we did wrong, what we did good, and definitely send some money towards the fundraiser that we're trying to raise some money for
yep,
Cancer Research UK
yep.
for our
I've put the
Spooktober
link
event.
in the chat. But yeah, if you go to
It's all on
fundraise
Yeah, it's on all of our
cancerresearch.org,
socials too, I'm sure.
yeah, I do it. We've not made the progress we would like to have made, but
I'm trying to
anything's
send
fine.
some, but I keep forgetting. And
No, that's all right.
I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do that today because I want to send. I'm gonna match yours, which I think was £10.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna match that.
so
Um,
we'll do it because like I said, it's a cause that we've been doing for the past. Well, this is the third year, so
yeah,
we'll just keep going
and
with
hopefully
it,
we can
and
reach
then
our goal. Well, any number's good, but our goal would be great.
yeah, it's a modest goal. I mean,
Yeah,
compared to what people go for doing stuff a lot more inspiring than us than us turning up playing the games that we really enjoy into games that we really wouldn't enjoy.
yeah,
Minus Back for Blood. Um,
yeah. That's
so
that's made it very hard for me to want to play Amnesia because I just want to
yeah,
play that.
yeah.
I'm not.
Well, I'm,
I
I'm
didn't enjoy Amnesia. I'm just like, I don't.
oh god.
I'm so uncomfortable in that game, and I get like nowhere. I feel like I'm doing nothing.
Oh well, you should join me in the recording studio at some point on Sunday when we wrap Spooktober up with a full playthrough. Well, as full as possible playthrough of Resident Evil Village,
Okay, I'll see. I'll
which is going
hopefully
to
I'll be
be
around.
so. So I mean, I say that it's going to be from like sunset to sunrise. So it's a dusk till dawn stream.
Yeah, I'll be able to join partway through.
Yeah, so that'll be fun there. And yeah, in terms of if you like what you heard, you can do what Terry said in regards to for the Twitch channel. If you're hearing this on YouTube or watching it on YouTube, you can like, share, and subscribe on there. Everywhere where podcasts are served our silly little podcast will be there for you to join and listen to on that as well. And there's an RSS feed that you can join on that. And then yeah, we stream 5 days a week. We do really, don't we?
Yeah,
Thursday through Monday.
you're taking on a lot of
So,
that, but we are trying to get some more in there, and
yeah, there's certainly people have been recently joining on the stream. Sapphire's done a We Happy Few stream. Darius joined with Little Nightmares. D done Resident Evil Revelations recently,
yeah.
and seems to have the streaming bug. So they're probably going to want to play something else at some point as well. So yeah, we're gonna get to the point where we can do it multiple days of the week. If not,
Well, no matter what, we do it multiple days of the
minimum one a
week,
day.
but
Yeah,
hopefully we can get multiples in a single day of the week, I think is what you meant to say.
yeah, that's sort of what I mean. So yeah, so basically multiple times,
At least
and then we
try to
do
get it
like
every
group
day of the week
sessions as
kind
well.
of thing, even if it's just for
Yeah,
a few hours here and there. And the
yeah,
times are all
no,
over the place. So if one of our people, like when Ryan does his Sunday morning one,
yeah.
it's 4 a.m. my time. Well, luckily
But
that actually works out for my schedule, but it won't work out for most people's schedules in
yeah,
North America.
but at the same time, I do a on the Saturday beforehand. I do like a 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock recently
Yeah.
stream. Um,
So like I said, they're all
we'll
over the time frame. So
yeah. So there's always going to be some. Generally we'll look to try and do something at a time where some people will be watching or have the ability to watch. So there'll be something for everyone, and everything gets recorded and uploaded onto the YouTube as
yep,
well. So it's all there for that. That's basically it, isn't it?
I believe so. So
Yeah.
let's give
All
them
right.
the goodbye wave.
Goodbye, Wave. See you later.